So,
Hello. I'm just getting this thing onto YouTube. I hope nothing. Oh no, what happened? We here? Oh, we're here.
so
Oh, hello. I'm just getting this thing onto. Right, okay. Where's my. Oh, there we are. All right, we're good. All right, fantastic. All right, so welcome everybody. Lovely to have everybody.
happened there. I suddenly disappeared, but I'm back now.
Oh, okay, great.
I don't know what happened.
Me neither. Okay. All right, lovely to see everybody. Okay, very good. So we're all ready to go. Fantastic. All right. So let's wait a minute. Why is that doing that? Everyone in meeting. There you go. Right, okie doke. Now then, let's share my screen. Let's start off with our tefillah. Here we are. And oh, I haven't got my microphone on. So I'll put it on and then we'll be good. So yeah, here we go. So how do I do share? Ah, here we go. Right. All right. Okay. So here's our prayer. All right. And our prayer is for the soldiers, for Ilun Nishmatam of the tzaddikim, the tohurim, the kedoshim, who went up to heaven yesterday, and the refuah shalema for the wounded. And may God guard, bring the hostages home, and God guard the soldiers wherever they are. And Bezrat Hashem. Okay. ריבון עולמים ואדוני אדונים, אף רחמן והסליחות, עומדים אנחנו לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ולאבותינו, בקידה בשטח הוויה, שקרבתנו לתורתך ולעבודתך עבודת הקודש. ונתת לנו חלק בסודות תורתך הקדושה. מה אנו ומה חיינו, אשר עשית עמנו חסד גדול כזה. על כן אנחנו מפילים תחנוננו לפניך, שתמחול ותסלח לכל חטאותינו ועוונותינו, ואל יהיו עוונותינו מבדילים בינינו לביניך, וכן יהי רצון מלפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ולאבותינו, שתכונן את לבבינו ליראתך ולבבך, ותקשיב אוזניך לדברינו אלה, ותפתח לבבינו הערל בסודות תורתך, ויהיה לימודנו זה נחת רוח, לפני כיסא כבודך קרח ניחוח, ותציל עלינו, אור מקור נשמתנו בכל בחינתנו, ויתנוצצו ניצוצות עבודיך הקדושים, אשר על ידם גלית דבריך אלה בעולם, וזכותם וזכות אבותם, וזכות תורתם ותמימותם וקדושתם, יעמוד לנו לבל נכשל בדברים אלו. ובזכותם תראיננו במה שאנו לומדים, כמה נעים זמירות ישראל, גל עיני והביט הנפלאות מתורתך, כי אדוני תן חוכמה מפיו דעת ותבונה, יהיו לראות שונאים מפי, והגון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי. Amen. כן יהי רצון. Okay. So today we're going to be looking at a really, really interesting piece, which occurs, of course, in Parshat Emor, which is the story of Svirat Omer, the commandment of Svirat Omer. And one of the things that's very, very special is that Svirat Omer is the connection between Pesach and Shavuot. And I don't know if you've ever noticed, but of all the, what's that? I don't know. Of all the festivals that we have, okay, they all have a date. They're told in the Torah, on the 14th day of the first month, you have to keep Pesach, and on the first day of the 7th month, you have to blow the shofar, and on the 10th day of the 7th month, you have to fast, and on the 15th day of the 7th month, you have to build your sukkah and wave the 4 Arba Minim. But for Shavuot, we're not given a date at all. Okay, there isn't a date given. Okay, and so in fact, it's through the Sfirat Omer that we actually find the date, okay, of Shavuot, and that's one of the reasons why Sfirat Omer is so crucial, that we count properly. All right, so that we don't miss a day and we don't count a day twice and all that sort of thing. Because in fact, the day when we are going to celebrate Shavuot is actually dependent on our counting. All right, so this is a big deal. So I want to share the screen, okay? And here, I've got here the piece in Omer, where we are told about counting the Omer. And just the whole thing begins with V'yedaber Hashem al Moshe lemor. God spoke to Moses saying, Daber b'nei Israel v'amar alehem. Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, Moadei Hashem, the appointed seasons of God, Asher tikru'u otam, which you have to pronounce them. Okay, Mikveh Kodesh, as so holy convocations. Elehem Moadai, these are my appointed seasons. Okay, so we have the work also of proclaiming the holy convocations, and this is particularly applicable, as I've said, to Shavuot. Okay, so first of all, Eile Moadei Hashem, these are the holy convocations of God, which you have to declare in their appointed season. And we start off first of all with Shabbat, and then with Pesach. Okay, and like I said, Pesach has a specific date. Okay, and then we come to a very big piece which talks about the Omer. All right, so V'daber Hashem al Moshe lemor, and God spoke to Moses saying, Daber b'nei Israel v'amar alehem ki tavo el ha'aretz asher ani noten lachem. Speak to the children of Israel and tell them that when you come to the land which I'm giving you, uktzartem et ktsira, and you reap the harvest, its harvest, v'aveitim et Omer reshit ktsirachem. You need to bring the first sheaf of your harvest El HaKohen, to the priest. Now, this is going to be a very special offering. What's he going to do, this priest? Okay? He's going to wave the Omer before God, as is so it be accepted for you. All right? Now, what is this waving about? Okay? So we've got a lot of questions that we're asking here. All right? What is the importance of the first sheaf? What is the importance of the waving? Okay, all right. Okay, vasitem obiyom hanifchem et Omer, and you have to deal with this sheaf. Okay, when you wave it, you have to bring it to the temple, and we'll see that there was a whole issue, the whole story, how they brought it to the temple. Okay. Keves tamim ben shnato la'olah l'Hashem, and then you also offer up a hilam without a blemish in his first year, burnt offering Hashem. Okay, and then it goes on to the other bits of the offering. Minchato shnei sonim solet berula b'shemen, and the meal offering is 2/10 of fine flour mixed with oil. Ishel Hashem reich nichoach, a fire offering to God. Niskei yayin v'vitahin, and a wine offering. Okay. V'lechem v'koli v'kamer lo tuchlu. You shall not eat bread or parched corn or fresh ears ad etzem hayom hazeh, until this day, ad havirchem et korban elokechem, when you brought this offering to your God. Chukat olam l'torotechem v'kol moshvotechem. It is an everlasting statute throughout your generations in all your dwelling places. Okay? Now, usfartem lachem imachot Shabbat, and you should count for yourself from the following day. Now, the Shabbat here means Pesach. All right? This was a discussion, a an argument between the Sadducees or some other sect or the other, and the Perushim and the Tanaim. The Tanaim, the oral law tells us it's the day after Pesach, which is what we keep. And the others said it was on the following Sunday, but that's not true. It's the very first day after Pesach, and we're going to find out why, okay? That we have to count from that day when we bring the Omer, which is going to be waved, all right? 7 whole weeks. Sheva Shabbatot Tzimot Tiena, all right? Ad mimochat Shabbat HaShvi'it tispu 50 yom. Until you get to the day after the 7th week, you shall count 50 days, okay? 7 times 7 is 49. The 50th day is Shavuot. V'kraftem mincha chadasha l'Hashem, and you shall offer up a new offering to God. Now, it doesn't say the word Shavuot here, okay? It doesn't tell us about Matan Torah, okay? It just tells us we have to bring a new offering at this point, all right? That's all it says. It doesn't discuss Matan Torah, it doesn't tell us about Shavuot, it doesn't tell us, I mean, it's very interesting. Why is it like this? And we're going to find out from the Zohar. From your dwelling places, you shall bring now again a wave offering, all right? But this time it's lechem, all right? Lechem, bread, okay, made of wheat. You're going to take 2/10 of flour and you're going to bake it with leaven. Bikurim Lashem, first fruits to the Lord. Okay, and then you're going to add to all of this the other aspects of the offerings. Okay, all right, and we're not going to go into this. And then we're going to say again, Ve'nifa kohen otam alechem bikurim tnufa, and the priest shall wave them with the bread of the first of these first fruits of waving, okay, before God. And then and this was going to be a proclamation on this day. You're not allowed to do any work, okay? It is an everlasting statute in all your dwellings through your generations. Okay, so here we've got a fascinating idea. We've got that we have Pesach and it's got a proper date. We have Rosh Hashanah with a proper date, Yom Kippur with a proper date, Sukkot has got a proper date. And the one thing that doesn't have a proper date is Shavuot. Okay, the next thing that we've discovered is that on the day after Pesach, we have to take the Omer and then start counting the days. And when we reach the 50th day, that's Shavuot. Okay, and we offer up 2 wave offerings, one at the beginning, which is the Omer, and then one on Shavuot, which is from wheat. Okay, so the Omer itself was from barley, okay? And there is a difference in the nature of barley and wheat. And this is one of the things that the Zohar brings out very strongly. Why is it that the first offering that we have to bring on the day after Pesach is barley, and on the one on Shavuot, it's wheat? And what's the business of raising it up, that the Kohen has to wave it, raise it upwards? What is that all about? Okay, so we're going to go to the Zohar, and it's in the Zohar that you get the inner meanings, all right, of the mitzvot. So here we're going to see the Zohar. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm going to just get the Aramaic up on here, and maybe I'll make it a little bit smaller so I can actually zoom out a bit. Yeah, it makes it easier. Okay, so at the top of the page, we have the Zohar itself, which is written in a mixture of Hebrew and Aramaic. When it's quoting things, it's in Hebrew, otherwise it's in Aramaic. And down below, we have Rabbi Ashlag's commentary, which is also a translation into Hebrew and his commentary about what it means. Okay, so we're going to start off here. Okay, so far so good. Anybody else got any questions? Anybody got questions? Okay, all right. וביום הביקורים, בהקריבכם מנחה חדשה להשם, בשבועותיכם מקרא קודש יהיה לכם לגומר. So on the day of your first fruits, when you're going to bring this new offering to God, b'shvuotechem, at the end of all these weeks, mikra kodesh yeh lechem, you're going to pronounce a holy convocation. All right? So here, he's talking about Shavuot. All right? So that's what the Zohar says. Okay, this is Shavuot now. All right? Rabbi Shimon Patach. Rabbi Shimon opens his discourse. Az yirananu atzei hayar milifnei Hashem, kiva lishpot et haaretz. Then all the trees of the forest will be jubilant before the Lord because he's come to judge the land. All right? So the jubilation, okay, is on Shavuot. All right? Because God is coming on Shavuot, okay? His presence, his light is coming, not, okay, everything we know about God is his light, okay? Zakal chukehon dinun demishtadle b'oraita, yamama v'leila. Happy is the portion of those who strive, who occupy themselves in Torah, both by day and by night. Diyadin or chayda who know the ways of Torah, of the Holy Blessed One, v'itachdan b'shmei, and unite with his name. Voy le'inon delo mishtadlei b'oraita. Woe to those who don't practice the Torah, ta'leiton chulka b'shma kadishu, because they don't have a portion in God's holy name. V'lo itachdan bein, they're not uniting with it. V'lo b'hai olma, v'lo b'olma da'ati, neither in this world or in the next world. Man dezachi b'hai olma, whereas those who merit in this world, zachi ba'olma da'ati, merit also in the next world. Dachi taninan, as we learn, dovev siftei yeshenim, the God, I think it means encourages the lips of the sleepers, or the lips of the sleepers move, like they're talking. Yeah, they're talking. Afal gavdinun bahi olma, even though they're in the next world, siftotehem ma hashintaman oraita. Their lips are saying, whispering the words of the Torah. So let's just have a look and see what that actually means. All right. So, as we said, Rabbi Shimon is saying about Shavuot, all the trees of the forest are jubilant before God. I think it must mean, the trees of the forest are the ways of our being, either through the Eitz HaChaim and the Eitz Hadat Tovah. All aspects, all vessels are jubilant, filled with song before God. Happy is the portion of those who practice the Torah day and night. Now, that doesn't mean those who, necessarily those who sit all day in the Beit HaMidrash, and learning lots of Torah. It means putting it into practice, okay? You can learn less Torah, okay, but do it, putting it into practice, or skim the Torah, okay? Or skim the Torah means practicing the Torah. In other words, taking the understanding, the learning of what the instruction of the Torah is, which is how to correct our vessel from receiving for itself into the aspect of giving unconditionally. Okay, that's what the Torah is for. All right. So happy is the portion of those who putting the Torah into practice by day. Then when the Kabbalah says day, it means when the light of God is shining for us. And by night means when the light of God is not shining for us. Okay? So when things are going smoothly, it's the day. When things are not going smoothly, it's the night. But nevertheless, the tzaddikim, those who justify God in all circumstances, practice the Torah at all times. They know, they're connecting. It's not intellectual knowledge, it's connective knowledge. They're connecting with the pathways of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What are the pathways of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Just as he is gracious and merciful, so we need to be gracious and merciful too. Okay? Umitachdim bishmo. And they unite with his Malchut, the Malchut Shamayim. His name is the Malchut. What is the Malchut Shamayim? That we take upon ourselves the yoke of the kingdom of heaven, which is not an easy thing to do, to be honest. Okay? Because we have often to go against our wills to receive. And we'll see about how all these ideas come about actually in this whole issue of counting the Omer. Woe to those who are not practicing the Torah. They don't have a portion in God's holy name. And they don't unite with him. Neither in this world or in the next world. Whoever merits the Torah of this world. In other words, in this world, in this consciousness of the society that we're living in the consciousness of all the difficulties and the physical difficulties and the emotional difficulties and the social media and everything else that we have to deal with, okay? All right? If you manage it in this world, okay, you merit it also in the world to come. In other words, if you have to struggle first against your own will to receive, but then you're able to come to the will to give. The Olam Haba, Rabbi Ashlag says, is not necessarily after we die. Olam Haba is simply the next consciousness we come to, all right? Because the world is another level of consciousness. That's what a world means. So Olam Haba is simply the next level, all right? You struggle at the level you're at, and then you can come to the next level, all right? Next consciousness. Shekach lamadnu dovev siftei yeshenim. The lips of the sleepers are moving, even though they are in that particular world. Siftotem dovavot sham Torah. Their lips are moving with Torah, with whatever you merit in this world. Now, this world, with all its difficulties, is the world of free choice. And that's why it's important, whatever we do, whatever we manage to do in this world, is actually very helpful, very important. Okay, so far so good? Everybody okay so far? All right then. Kuf Memvav, Tachazi, Ad Hashta, Akrivu Yisrael Tuvot Haaretz, Tuvot Haaretz, Vadai, Vit Askube, Vit Kashub Hukshura, Vafal Gav de Dina Ishtakach, Dina Beshome Ishtakach Be, Vakrivu Seurim, begin דאיהו קדמה מכל שעה תבואה, ומן קדמה מתקרבה, ולא מההוא דמתאחר, דהאחידו קדמה, דישראל התאחדו בי בקודשא בריך הוא. הכהו, אמר קודשא בריך הוא, אנא יהבית, לכו מן במדברה, מהו עתה דקרי שמיים, דכתיב הנני ממתיא לכם לחם מן השמיים, ואתון מקריבין כמי שעורים. Okay, now, come and see, בואו ראה. עד עתה, דהיינו בפסח, up till now, that is on Pesach, הקריבו ישראל תבואת הארץ. Israel offered up the first produce of the land, which was the Omer, okay? The sheaf. There's a very beautiful piece in the Mishnah. I forgot to get it ready for you, but it's so lovely. It tells exactly what they used to do. They used to go out on, first of all, before Yom Tov, that is on, before Seder night began, they would go out into the field and they would tie the barley, okay, with a ribbon or something, while it was still connected to the ground. So that was the picture that I sent around on the WhatsApp today Here, I'll see if I can get it. Wherever it was, here we are. Here. Okay, so I can just on my screen. There you are. Okay, so here you see, oh, you can't see it? You can see it? You can see it. Okay, you see the barley, all right? Now, it's actually still attached to the ground, okay? And it's ripened, okay, time of the harvest. And it's got these yellow ribbons, okay, tying it into a bunch. So that on Motzi Yom Tov, Motzi, the first night of Pesach, they would go out into the field and with a lot of ceremony, a lot of ceremony, a lot of people, a lot of ceremony, they would cut the barley. And the reason why they did it with so much ceremony, because they wanted to show that they were doing it on the very second night of Pesach, all right? And not in the way that the Sadducees or whatever they were said, okay? Now, the other reason why I'm showing you this picture is because I want you to look at the form of the barley. If you sort of stand back a bit, it looks very sort of like hairy. You know, it's got a hairy appearance. All right, lots of thistles, lots of stringy bits. Okay, and that's actually important, as we're going to see in a moment. Go back again to what we were looking at before, the Zohar. All right. The barley, it was important, and also its name, Torah, relates to dinim. It relates to judgments. Okay, and we're going to see in the Zohar why in a minute. So the first thing they have to bring is the Omer on Pesach. Okay. Yeah, on Pesach, it's the second night of Pesach. Okay, Tevuat ha'aretz, the produce of the land, v'dai, dainu harata malchut hanikret aretz. They have to give, they have to offer up an aspect of the malchut. The malchut is the desire, okay, which all of us have. All together, we form the desire, which is the Shekhinah. V'nit askuba, and they did all the work connected with it. Okay, v'nit kashru b'kesher, they connected with it. Even though the barley does represent judgment, okay, and the word Torah, like I say, the word is hairy. Okay, if you look at a field of barley and you compare it with a field of wheat, it looks from a distance, it definitely looks more hairy, if you see what I mean. Okay, and the word hairy, hair is one of the parts of ourselves which is not really alive in that sense. You can cut it, it doesn't hurt. Okay, and so also in the Torah, when it talks about hairiness, like Esau was very hairy, okay, it's talking about judgments. It's talking about the will to receive oneself alone. And on Rosh Chodesh and on Yom Kippur, they offer up sin offerings. And what's the sin offering? The se'ir, the he-goat. And why he-goat? Why not a big bull or something or other? And the answer is because it's a very hairy animal. Okay, all the hairs hang down. And so this hairiness actually relates to the will to receive. It relates to judgment. Okay? So they would offer up the barley, which I say is like got this look of hairiness about it, okay? And they had to offer it mishum shu harishon l'kol sha'ar tevuot, because it was the first of all the produce. Umin harishon makrivim, and we need to offer up from the first. V'lo me'otan shemit'archot, and not from what comes later. Ki achiza rishona she'Yisrael nit'achazu b'kadosh baruch hu. We need to offer up from the first connection that Israel is connected with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kanhu, here it is. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy Blessed One said, Ani noten lachem man bamidbar memamkom hu nikra shamayim. I'm giving you manna in the wilderness from the conscious place, which is Shamayim, which is the Zeir Anpin, it's a higher level. Shekatuv hineni mamtir lechem lechem min hashamayim. I am going to rain down from you bread from heaven. But you have to offer up to me beforehand the se'orim, the barley, shubachinat hamalchut, which is the aspect of the malchut, which is the aspect of the will to receive. Now, Rabbi Ashlag is now going to open this whole up completely, this thing all up completely. He's going to answer all our questions. All right? So let's have a look and see what he says. Biur hadvarim, explanation. Afal pi shebelel Pesach haya hamalchut bezivug panim b'panim im Zeir Anpin betachlit hagadlut הרי היה מבחינת התערותא דלעילא בלבד, כדי להוציא ישראל ממצרים. Explanation. Even though on Seder night, the Leil of Pesach, the Malchut, that's us, okay? All of Israel, the community of Israel, all right? We make up the Malchut, are in total union, all right? Panim b'panim, that means face to face, total union with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with the Holy Blessed One, in the ultimate of love and the ultimate of goodness and the ultimate of awareness. There is nothing like Leil Seder, okay? On the other hand, it's not because on Leil Seder we deserve it, all right? It's because on Leil Seder it was necessary to get Israel out of Egypt. All right, so we start off our journey to Mount Sinai by the first thing, God takes us out of our own personal Egypt on Pesach. He takes us out of our own will to receive for ourselves alone. He just says, that's it. No matter where you are, I'm lifting you out. Okay? That's the inner meaning. He just jumped to the end. He jumped to the end of the tikkun. Okay? From the worry that otherwise we in our day will not get too sunk in to our will to receive for ourselves alone and not be able to get out. And in the Torah, so that the children of Israel would not assimilate to the Egyptians, because already Israel had got down to the 49th level of uncleanness, and so it was necessary to God to take us out without waiting any longer. And this is the issue of b'chipazon, that God took us out in haste. On the other hand, because it was God's awakening from above, this great light cannot last. Why not? The Talmud tells us, Yagati umatzati ta'amin. I did the work. I found, God gave me the grace. Believe it. Okay? All right? Lo yagati umatzati al ta'amin. If you don't do the work, and you get the light of God, don't believe it. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. So the answer is, but it did happen. Happened on Seder night. And there are times in our lives as well when we sort of get this opening, we get this push from behind, we get this wow, you know? And Baruch Hashem that we do. It's a gift from God to take us out of wherever we've got stuck. But if we don't then do the work, all right, we lose it. Okay? So if we've got that wonderful love and connection has come in, don't just take it for granted. You've got to do the work, otherwise you lose it. And so what happens on Leil Pesach, straight away the Malchut goes back lekatnuta, to its small element, to its immature aspect, to its reality, to be honest. Okay? Why? In order that now we can do the work and build it up from below. And we need to do the work. We need to create the vessels, Al Yedei Yisrael, so that when we can actually arrive at Mount Sinai, we want the Torah. We're ready to receive the Torah. Okay? And we're going to look in a minute afterwards about what building these vessels actually requires. All right? Umitoch Shamalchut, he became a B'chinat Kav Small. And since our makeup, okay, is primarily vessels of receiving, we want to receive God's light, okay? That's what we want. We are receivers, okay? Umitoch Shamalchut Bika, oh yes, I did that bit. Al Kein Mitzvah Rishonah Shel Hakavat Minchat Omer. So our first thing we have to do, our first mitzvah to start this whole process of getting close and building the vessel to Mount Sinai is Sur Meirah, okay? Turn away from evil, turn away from receiving. So what do we have to do? We have to sacrifice the Minchat Omer, the offering up of the Omer. What's the offering up of the Omer? Minchat Se'orim, the offering of the barley. And what did we say? Barley was judgment, barley was hairy, okay? Barley is the animal aspect of ourselves. Barley is animal food, food for animals, okay? Why is it called food for animals? In practice, it is called food for animals because the shells of the barley are very hard, okay? So you, she'se'orim hu sod ha'arat ha'malchut mibchinat kav smol, michochma b'li chasadim. So the spiritual root of barley is the malchut, receiving light, okay, but without any giving at all. Now, if we receive light without any giving at all, that causes judgments, okay? That causes us to become separated from God, which is what the judgments really are. It's feeding the animal side of ourselves. Behemut nimshechet mismol, and this animality, if you like, comes from our desires to receive. But what do we do? Elabasod Omer hatnufa. This is the inner meaning of the sheaf of waving. Remember, we said that the special about this special offering that we do, the Omer, can give it to the priest, and he waves it. What does he do? He waves it from below to above. All right? So what are we showing by that? We're saying we don't want to receive down here. We want to take our desire to receive and give it up to God. That's what it means. Okay? So we can take our desire to receive and give it to God. And that starts off the period of counting the Omer, counting the 50 days that we now can bring ourselves to the light, the vessels, that we need for receiving the Torah. Okay? First we do Sur Meirah, then we come to Asay Tov. Yeah? So v'achar al yedei Sfirat Omer, and then subsequently by counting these weeks, mamshichim eleha zayin sfirot chesed gevurah tiferet netzach hod yisod malchut mizerampin. We bring to the malchut, to our governance, if you like, the lower seven sfirot, of chesed gevurah tiferet netzach hod yisod malchut, which come to the Malchut from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So each one of them contains 7 Sfirot, שבזה משיגה קומה שווה לבחינת זיווג. And this enables us to attain the level, the equivalent level, okay, in a way that we had at Pesach, okay, with the zivug panim b'panim, okay, when the Malchut, that's us, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu are united face to face, okay, just as we were at Pesach, we will be again at Shavuot, okay, B'yom HaChamishim, on the 50th day, Shu Chag Shavuot, which is the festival of Shavuot. And what is that festival of Shavuot? She'az makrivim mincha shniya, when we offer up a different mincha, a new one. And what is this? Minchat chitim, a offering of wheat. What's the difference between barley and wheat? Barley was a food given to animals. In those days, they didn't have pearl barley like we have nowadays. Okay, barley was in its kernels, and it's too indigestible like that for humans. But wheat is not indigestible. Okay, it's got a much softer kernel. All right, and the wheat is considered ma'achal adam. It's called a food for the Adam. What's the Adam? Adameh le'elyon. One who wants to be like God, one who wants to be giving and kind and compassionate as God is giving and compassionate. And this is the new offering which we arrive at by counting the 49 Sfirot, okay, the 49 days that we need to come to Shavuot. And this is what we talked about right at the very beginning, that Shavuot is the one festival in our lexicon which doesn't have a date. Okay, the date is fixed by our counting these days, by our creating the vessels that we need. Okay, so before we go on with any more from the Zohar, I want to share with you a letter, an article that I wrote a couple of years ago in the meaning of Sfirat Omer. And I shared it with Rabbi Gottlieb, and he really liked it very much. So it's okay. So we can say it's okay. All right. And so I want to share it with you. It was published in a magazine, Panima. So it's in Hebrew, but that will be okay. We can translate it. It was for a woman's magazine, so it's written in the in a feminine language. And this is what I wrote then. How excited I am each time when we're just leaving, Leila said, we're leaving, the Pesach, and I mean the first day of Pesach. It's we just sang Havdalah, okay? And already there is a special mitzvah to count the days until Shavuot. These days are holy days of looking forwards, and they form the bridge between our coming out of Egypt, the beginning of our redemption, and its actualization on receiving the Torah on Mount Sinai. But Rabbi Yehuda Ashlag enjoins us, he warns us that in spirituality, the time of giving and the time of receiving can be quite separated from each other. All right? What does this mean? It means that on Shavuot, God gives us the Torah every year. But the question really is, are we ready to receive it? Okay? He gives us the opportunity. Are we prepared to receive it? Okay? Because the reality is that we are not able to receive any light unless we have the correct vessel prepared for it. So our question now becomes, what constitutes a true vessel? A true vessel is what I feel with all my heart I'm lacking, what I'm praying for, what I feel that I cannot carry on in my life without it. That's a true vessel. So true vessels for the receiving of the Torah are vessels of longing for the closeness of God. Desires of kisufim. Kisufim is like longing, gargouin. These are different words for I'm really wanting, I'm really yearning, I'm really longing for the closeness with God. And the sages asked the question, how can we be one with God? He's a consuming fire. And they answered, Hadbeik b'midotav, cling to his virtues. Mahu rachum, afata rachum. Just as you are merciful, just as he is merciful, so you be merciful. Mahu chanun, afata chanun. Just as he is gracious, so you be gracious. These are the vessels of mercy and compassion that we need to cultivate in these days. But when we begin to try to give goodness to our fellow without any conditions, unconditionally, completely altruistically, without asking any physical or emotional compensation at all, we find ourselves with a problem. We find a problem. We come up against a problem. When we try to help or to give to our fellow completely unconditionally, there wakes within us an inner voice which opposes it. What are you, crazy? Are you a friar? Or in the Lashon of Haggadah, what does this service mean to you? This is the question of the Rasham, Avodah Zot Lachem. And suddenly we understand that without the help of God, we don't have any possibility to get out from our own Egypt, from our own selfish love, okay, which is rooted within us from the essence of our creation, from the essence of our created nation.
I'm going to close my share. 1 second, I won't hear you. Yeah. Good to see you. It's been ages.
Can you please mute yourself? Hello? 1 second. Can you please be muted? All right, thank you. All right. So suddenly we understand without the help of God, we don't have any possibility to get out of our selfish love, which is rooted within us from the essence of our creation, because we are created with the will to receive. And therefore the Torah teaches us to build our vessels gradually, day by day. So we begin to count the 49 days between Pesach and Shavuot, which relate to the order of the Sfirot. Now, there is a wrong impression that Sfirot are vessels filled with light, okay? Chesed, Gvur, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. This is the impression that people have, that these are vessels filled with light. But the truth is they're not actually. These are desires in our soul, which in the Ein Sof were filled with light, but now are empty and are longing for their light, okay? Through each particular sfira, we raise up the vessels, okay, to our present consciousness, okay? So we count chesed. So we think about chesed. Can I do chesed? And quite often we discover we're not very good at it. Or can I do gevura? And we find this very difficult. And what about tiferet? Okay? So what do these vessels mean? Vessels mean I can't do. I want to do, but I can't. Help me. Okay? So the vessels is the longing for chesed, the longing for the desire of pure giving, the longing for gevura, the vessel of gevura, the longing for the desire to limit my selfishness. Okay? The vessel of tiferet is the longing for tolerance and patience. Okay? And the vessels of netzach, the longing to be able to keep going constantly in kedusha, to be able to, keep going. Hatmada. I'm not quite sure how you say that in English. And of hod, okay, desires of thankfulness, desires of humility. I want to be thankful. I want to be humble. Okay, but I'm not always sure I can manage it. Vessels of yesod, desires of connection and love. The vessel means I want this. I'm recognizing that I really want this. And the most basic vessel of all of the Malkut, which is the desire for faith in God. Okay? So what actually happens is by working on these desires each day, bringing them up to our consciousness, looking and think, have I got any chesed? Can I manage gevura? Can I manage tiferet? And I'm very often finding that we can't. All right. But what does this mean? It means that when we can't, we ask God to help us. And so he says, okay, what can he help us with? He gives us the Torah, Mount Sinai, which means that by going through and developing the desires for Chesed and Gevurah and Tiferet and Netzach, Hod, Yesod and Malchut, the desires of compassion, the desires of giving, the desires of limiting our selfishness, the desires of patience and tolerance, the desires of staying constancy in holiness, and the desire to have humility, and the desire of being able to give love, and the desire of having faith and saying, oh God, I really can't manage any of this. And he says, okay, I'll help you. I'll give you the Torah. So we arrive on Shavuot and we say, oh God, I really need this Torah. Do you see how we've created the exact vessel that we need for receiving the Torah on Mount Sinai? And that's what we need to do. We need to create the vessels so that on Mount Sinai, we're delighted. We say, thank you, God, so much that you're offering us the Torah on Shavuot, and we say, thank you so much. This is what we really need. Okay? The Holy Ari compares the days of the Sfirot Omer to the clean days of which a married woman counts, which she counts before reuniting with her husband. Okay? So this way, in the same way, we count the days before we reunite with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay? Because on Shavuot, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is likened to the bridegroom. And the Shekhinah, which is all the souls of Israel together, is likened to his bride. And as you know, the women were the first to receive the Torah on Mount Sinai. Ko Tamar lebeit Yaakov. Thus say to the house of Yaakov. And therefore, today, as women who function in our different circles, in our homes, at work, in the neighborhood, we are able to fulfill these days in building up our true desires to be in holiness, to be in connection with God, to be the aspect of giving, such that on the day of the giving of the Torah will also be the day of the receiving of the Torah, and this year more than any other year. Amen. Ken Yhi Ratzon. Okay. Any questions?
I do have a question, and it may be very provocative. So I'll wait for others to ask theirs, and then I'll ask mine. How about that?
You can ask your provocative question. I like your provocative questions.
It's kind of confession. I find it very difficult these days to concentrate on learning, because whatever is going on around, all those tragedies we are going through every single day, I cannot keep my mind concentrate on pure learning, which I loved, but I can't help it. I have to ask a question. What are those days of Sfirat HaOmer have to do with what's going on today on our Holy Land?
Oh, that's a very good question. I think that's an excellent question. Okay, so first of all, like we said earlier, asok b'Torah, to practice the Torah, is not necessarily meaning to sit with books. Okay?
Yeah, that's practicing, I agree.
Okay, so the practice of the Torah is to feel the pain of the bereaved, and to pray for the wounded, and to long for the return of the hostages, and to pray for everybody, and do what you can. That is the practice of the Torah. So if you can't sit with a book, and I totally understand that in these days, that's fine. That's fine. You're practicing the Torah. You're doing it in practice. That's enough. Okay? Everybody just has to do what there's some people who are finding it easier to learn, and other people find it better to practice. But the real issue is to practice. Okay? So that means to do exactly what you're doing. Okay? And to care about Am Yisrael. Absolutely. So that's 100%. So your question is, what do these days of the Omer have to do with what's going on in Eretz Israel right now?
Sorry, I understand that's the days that Rabbi Akiva's students and everything bad happened these days. So it kind of explains, but
Yes and no. I mean,
yes and no. Yeah.
yeah, I think that the way I'm thinking about it now, and I'm right. So first of all, I'm not a Kabbalist, okay? And I'm not a great rabbi either. I'm not anything. I'm just Yedida. All right. So all I can tell you is
And we love you for that.
my personal view, okay? Which you can take it or leave it. All right. So this is my personal view is like this. My personal view is that right now, God is showing everybody in the whole world what is good and what is evil. Clear as crystal. Nobody can sit on the fence anymore, no matter where you are, whether you're in Israel, whether you're in Chutz La'aretz. Personally, I think everybody in Israel is kadosh, is holy. And what's going on in Chutz La'aretz is they have to make a choice. Am I on the side of Israel, the side of good, the side of God's holy name, or am I on the side of evil, Hamas? Okay? And very often we know that Am Yisrael takes upon itself tikkunim, which are for the whole world. We are kind of like got responsibility for the whole world. So everybody in the world right now is being asked these questions, okay? And this is towards the time of the Gemara Tikkun, the end of the Tikkun, when God's name will be, he will be one and his name is one. Now, Shavuot and the end of the Tikkun have the same essence. They have exactly the same essence, because when the Torah came down when God came down on Mount Sinai, he revealed himself. And the revelation of the light of God in everybody's consciousness is the same essence as the end of the Tikkun. At the end of the Tikkun, God consciousness will be here. And there won't be free choice anymore. There won't be the free choice to choose, oh yeah, I like this or I prefer that. No. God's light will be so strong that everybody will lachzor b'tshuva be'ahava, will come back to tshuva from love. However, the tzaddikim who chose God during the time when there was a free choice will actually still want to serve God, even at that time of the Gemara Tikkun. It's like the choice to be Israel is a choice to make now. And I think this is the choice that everybody in the world is being offered right now. And it's terribly painful. It's terribly painful. And yet, at the same time, I hear incredible stories of the soldiers, of their parents, who accept God's will with so much love. And we can just pray. We cannot do anything else. It's God organizing this whole thing. But say it's easy, it's not easy.
But but it's okay. If you cannot concentrate this moment, do something else.
Exactly.
Do something else for others.
Yes, exactly. It's the same. Yeah, absolutely. It's good. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Love you.
You too.
Love you. Okay, wonderful. Has anybody else got a question? That was a wonderful question. And Nicole, have you got a question?
No, I have to apologize actually, because I had my daughter came by, so I had to get her something. So I missed the last part of the shiur. So I was just going to make sure you put it online.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
It's very interesting, but I'm sorry I missed the last 10 minutes. But
well, that's fine. That's fine. No problem at all. It's online. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll look it up. It was very interesting. Because I was actually on my other shiur yesterday. They were talking about how the barley is the animal food, and
That's right.
a
Yeah,
lot
the
of
animal.
and why we were getting that. But here you were also saying the fact that it's something else, that it was actually the first crop to
That's
come.
right. That's right. It was the first crop, and it was this. So it's Sormera, turn away from evil, and then do good. So the offering up of the barley means that we take our animal nature and we give that up to God, and then we can start working on desiring the positive. First, we need to let go of the negative, and then we can work to desire the positive. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Wonderful. All right, my loves, everybody have a wonderful Shabbat. Okay? Bezrat Hashem, and a good week afterwards. And let's hope for Besorot Tovot for Kol Am Yisrael.
Was it a good Yom Ha'atzmaut in Israel?
It was amazing. It was amazing. Like I'm telling you, it was amazing. People here are amazing. With everything, like everybody cried on Yom HaZikaron. Everybody cried on Yom HaZikaron, and everybody was happy on Yom Ha'atzmaut.
That's good.
Because we were all so happy to have a state of Israel.
We had in the synagogue, it was full this year.
Yeah.
They just have the years least on Mari beforehand and anything. So it was a lot of people came this year.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, it was extraordinary, extraordinary.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom. Much
Shabbat
love.
Shalom.